The Valley Parish Nurse Program has been around for 22 years, and we started as just one nurse in 5 churches. There were 5 nurses that started in the beginning. We're now up to about 35 churches, and it includes like centers like ACA has a parish nurse, things like that. So we volunteer in the congregations and in the community. And we started CPR about 15 years ago, primarily to train people in the churches. That was our goal, to get our church members, because there's a huge church community in the valley. So we started doing that as parish nurses, and it just expanded. We became so large, training so many people. The American Heart Association asked us to requested that we become our own training center. But when becoming your own training center, you're autonomous. You don't have to report to anybody else. You set your own standards, which we have very high standards for our instructors and everything. So we do a lot of free or low cost or no cost CPR, but we also will do for-profit industries and people who have to have CPR, and that's how we replenish our expendable supplies, is by going into the for-profit companies. But the not-for-profits, we do it at low cost or no cost. And one of the initiatives we have is our CPR Anytime kits, where we're going into the schools. It's a 3 years, actually it's been expanded to 4 years. It's being funded through both our major funders, the Catherine Matthews Foundation and the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven.
Good.
And our fiscal agent is the United Way. They've supported us 110% because we're trying to increase the survival rate of anyone who has a cardiac arrest out of the hospital. And we're only going to do that by training masses of people.
Great.
And Ed, how has Curtis Ryan gotten involved in all this?
Well, going back probably seven or 8 years, I became aware of a program that our National Auto Dealer Association, which is the national association for all dealers across the country, that they had a program to present what they call the Recessianes for CPR training. And so I inquired through our state association, which is Connecticut Auto Retailers Association, and they got hold of the application from the National Association, gave it to me. I gave it to that organization at the time from the Valley who received it, and I just thought it was a great program. So I hadn't done it for maybe 3 years, and I contacted our state association again, and I said, I'd like to participate in that program again. And they said, okay, and so they sent me another application. And then I had a conversation with you, Laurel, and the Valley United Way obviously is kind of, I used to be on the board, so I know a lot about the organization, and that they are a hub for all the other organizations that help out people in the Valley, kind of like a clearinghouse, if you will, for all the good organizations in the Valley. And when you said to me almost immediately, Valley Parish Nurses is who would use that particular, that specialized CPR function would be great. That's what they do, And so I was a little taken back because, I'm well aware of the Boys and Girls Clubs and the YMCAs and all these other organizations, Spooner House, but I had never heard of the Valley Parish Nurses. I'm sorry, but I haven't.
Then we're not doing our job right.
And so Bob DeMarco, who is one of the guys who works with us here, he's a Shelton guy. He's been at the dealership forever, and he has lived, born and bred in Shelton. And I went to him, and I usually, anything that's involved with the Valley, especially Shelton, I'll go to Bob and say, Bob, give me the skinny on it, And he said, oh no, they're a good organization, and this is what they do. And so that's when I said, okay, let's proceed. And then the application that I had sent to you, Dawn, does specifically ask, one of the most important questions on it is, how many people do you train? Are you going to be training over the next year or in a given year? And when it came back to me, when the application came back to me, I saw that it was over 2,000 people. I was actually a little surprised myself, because I said to myself, how could I not be aware of this organization? No, really, how could I not be aware of the organization that trains that many people in the course of the year? Especially since I had done this a couple of times before in the past. So I was really impressed. Took your application, sent it off to our state association, who then forwards it to our national association, and took a couple weeks, and we got the approval. And next thing I knew, my president of our state association up in Hartford, excuse me, was
How the most inopportune time.
he called me up and he said, "Come and get your, recess Annie," and so here we are.
You called and I was thrilled, and they got off. I don't even know if you were there that day.
No.
And I thought, oh, I gotta call her. I always call her, get her off a ladder painting or something, to tell her about it, because we were thrilled. Now, we are probably the most under-known organization, and when I first got to the Valley 15, whatever it was, years ago, I said my first goal is to make the Valley Parish Nurses a household name, and I thought I had done a good job, but obviously not. Everybody in the state, anybody who deals with churches and stuff knows about the Valley Parish Nurses, because parish nursing in and of itself is church-based, and nobody else in the country goes out of the church. We will take care of all the congregations, things like that, but as Patty knows, and the United Jack Walsh knows, we are everywhere. The first time I met Jack, it was at one of he had a road race, and I had left Griffin Hospital. Nobody told me to do this, and I took my little blood pressure card and all my information, and I sat up at a table, and that was the first time anybody had a community blood pressure screening. So that's how we started getting out in the community. And when Kathy came along, she has the same mindset I do. So everybody just kind of follows along.
Well, maybe I know there's a few different news agencies that are hopefully going to be reporting this event today, so hopefully that'll help get the word out a little bit more too, as far as
I think you're the only person that doesn't know, right? Where is it you live?
I live in Guilford, but
I
spend most of my time in
That's
Shelton.
why.
No,
But that's okay.
That's okay.
Good
We
reason.
forgive you. We forgive you, because Guilford area does not have parish. There are pockets, and it's usually around. And Griffin's one of the few non-religious hospitals that has a huge parish nurse program. We have St. Vincent's, St. Rayfield's. So those are the types of hospitals that have a parish nurse, because that's part of their philosophy and their mission, is to go out and serve the underserved. Well, coincidentally, that's Griffin's mission too. So we just kind of, originally we were under Catholic Family Services.
Okay.
For the first, about, 4 or 5 years. And then when our new chaplain came in, Griffin said, we'll take them and house them, because Catholic Family Services really was only the fiduciary for any kind of money we got.
Okay.
So when Griffin took us over, it was with their plain tree philosophy, and our philosophy is the same. We care for the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. We're out there underserved. We do a lot in the underserved community.
Griffin does a good job.
Yeah.
They really
So,
do.
this is fabulous. I'm glad Kathy has to carry it. And I said, there are